Let's take a second to get settled.
Or do we? Yeah,
So-
6. Walking in the door.
okay, here comes Miss Siri. Okay.
Okay.
That's 60.
Okay, so good evening. Hello, my name is Jeanette DeCastro. I'm the chair of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District District Advisory Committee. We have a couple folks who have excused absences this evening. So Mark Elliott and Joel Bergstrom won't be joining us. And then one of our folks is joining from Zoom. Hi, Grover. So I'd like to just do brief introductions around the table if we could and say what sub area you're from.
I'm Anita Blackmar from sub area 2.
Paul Savas, board director, liaison to the DAC.
Maureen Tom, sub area 4.
Allie Fierstein, sub area 5.
Hi, Sarah Gitimo, sub area 1.
We'll go to Dominic.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at Groves. Dominic Martinez, NCPRD Deputy Director.
Iaselli, NCPRD Director.
And would we like to go to Zoom for Grover?
Grover Waterfeld, sub area 1 from Austin, Texas.
Thank you very much for the power of the internet. We're gonna, so that's our call to order. The next action item would have been approving our meeting summary from March. However, we don't have a quorum right now. So I'd like to move us into item 3, which is our discussion agenda. We will start with the system plan design workshop, presentation and question and answer. I'm going to introduce Erin Riom as the project manager with North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. No, join, yes, so much.
So thank you so much for carving out time on the agenda this evening to talk about the system plan. As you all probably recall, many months ago, in fact, predating my employment with the district, a consultant team was selected to assist with this project. And they were selected because they are national experts in parks and recreation district planning for projects exactly like this. So we're really excited to have them on the project. So over the past few months, NCPRD staff, we've been working away furiously on laying community engagement groundwork, data collection, getting the project up and running. But in the background, our consultant team has been working equally diligently on some of our initial analysis of the district area. They're going to be joining us in person in May. So we're hoping to get time on the agenda for the May DAC meeting to do another system plan update at that point. For those of you who express interest in participating in the site assessment process, we'll also be scheduling some time to do some community navigator training with them while they're here May 7th and 8th as well. But in the meantime, we wanted to have them join us this evening to introduce themselves and also to talk about the demographic and recreation trends assessments that they've been performing for us. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Anna and Xiaozhen and Jennifer.
Great, thank you for that, Erin. And we're sharing our screens, correct?
Not yet.
Oh, you would like us to, though. I mean, you're not going to share it.
Yes, please do.
Okay, very good. I'll do that. Just 1 second here. To get it to pull up again. There we go. Almost there. There. How's that?
We are maybe seeing oh, there we go. Looks great.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Good. Okay. Yes, thank you for having us virtually today. We can't wait to be here in person and see great shots like this of people out using your park system very soon. So we're going to go over a little bit of presentation here and first of all, introducing our team. So I'm Anna Laybourne with Design Workshop. And I'm the principal in charge. I'm a park system planner doing work all throughout the country. And I'm joined by Xiaozhen as our project manager and Jennifer as our planner and GIS technician. They're on the call, so that if you have questions I'm struggling to answer, they're going to be able to jump in and help out tonight. We also have some other folks that will be supporting this effort. Tim Marshall, will be providing guidance on governance and management and recreation programs. And we also have a survey group that provides statistically valid surveys with Polco. And when we get to that stage here soon, you'll see more of their work in this effort as well. So I wanted to start off by sharing a little bit of information as a reminder of what is a system plan. So it's a 20-year roadmap for community-informed decision-making. It's also a plan for how and where to direct limited budget and resources within the district. So why a park system plan update? Well, your last one was the 2004 master plan that was adopted. And community demographics and recreation trends have changed significantly over the last 2 decades. NCPRD needs a system plan update that directs how to meet the needs of its current and changing demographics. So a few different things with that, of what this plan will provide. The community recreation understanding is one of those things for the plan. In addition, there's an assessment of existing properties and facilities performance, identifying current community values, desires, and needs, and anticipating future community needs and replacement of aging recreation infrastructure. This plan will also provide a holistic view for the district's dispersed offerings. It'll include development of clear priorities for investment and resources, and it will also guide efforts with strategies for the next 20 years. So one thing that's really exciting to share with you all is that over the past few months, the team has worked on a critical foundational part of this plan, a comprehensive inventory of NCPRD's current park and recreation assets and their map locations, which are shown in dark green. And that includes 34 total developed parks, 7 natural areas or greenways, 11 underdeveloped parks, which may provide opportunities to accommodate future programming, and 3 community or recreation facilities. You can also see on the map in the light green shade the non-NCPRD parks that are provided by others. And those are important to understand the total park provision within or adjacent to the district. We mentioned population changes of the district, and we now have another key piece of information the district hasn't had in a while. Data to describe the population within the North Clackamas boundaries displayed on the previous map. So our team uses an analysis tool that looks to select US Census Bureau data based on the district boundaries and supplies the most recent 2023 data set to understand NCPRD's community profile. The next few slides are a summary of the initial findings. Comparing NCPRD's key demographic factors with the county as a whole, we found that NCPRD's population is approximately 1/4 of Clackamas County's total population. So it's NCPRD's is about 106,000 people. Its population is slightly younger than the overall county, with a median age of 41.3. Its median household income is also lower than the overall county, 79,765, and the average household size is slightly smaller. And this is a breakdown of population and households. We look at NCPRD's encompasses about 43,000 households within its boundaries. Another interesting fact is that 58% of households are owner occupied, which is something that can have a relationship to park use. The data shows steady population growth has occurred over the past decade and is expected to continue over the next. These population growth numbers will be important to the future planning as we develop something called level of service measurements to anticipate keeping up with population changes over the next decade. Also interesting is this population density map that depicts how households are concentrated within census boundaries. You can see the dots are denser depicted with more residences within the city of Milwaukee and along the perimeter of the district boundary. The middle of the district has a more suburban character with lower population density. I'll talk about age distribution. NCPRD's median age is 41.3, and the largest age group in the districts are people ages 25 to 34 and 35 to 44. 16% of the population is under the age of 14. The senior population is concentrated in the west and southeast sides of the district, as you can see in this map. Different age groups require different recreation programs to meet their current and future needs. Household income. 20.6% of NCPRD's households income is less than $35,000. Lower income communities often lack access to clean, welcome, and well-maintained parks and open space, and they may have different needs within those spaces. The system plan update will promote equal access to parks and open space, elevating the quality of life for everyone in the community, and really looking at what their specific needs might be. Some other key demographics. Planning for future recreation and programming will consider many demographic factors. That was the one we mentioned earlier about household income, and we'll look at poverty, households receiving food stamps, people with disabilities, non-English speaking populations, and populations with no health insurance coverage. These are fairly typical evaluations to help understand the health and needs of the community members. So another comparison with comparing to the county as a whole, that the percentage of the population at risk is slightly higher than the county statistics, which makes this more critical to identify how and where to direct limited budget and resources within the district. I'm going to switch now over to some other findings. These are some initial ones about recreation trends. First, starting with national changes in activities. We're just going to start at a national level and move down to the district level, a few steps here. So based on our team's analysis of Physical Activity Council's 2023 annual report, they have one about fitness and sports and outdoor sports. So they break it into different categories. These are some of the national trends for adults as well as for young adults. And you can see at the very top for the first two is fitness, sports, and outdoor sports. Slightly different than for adults and youth, that individual sports are third for adults and team sports for youth. So they switch around there. Then it's followed by racket sports, water sports, and winter sports. So same types of things, just slightly different order as you might expect, the difference between adults and youth. That's a national trend that is being experienced. We also look at the state level recreation trends. There's a good amount of data on this of what's happening throughout the state. And this is just representing the top activities, the most popular in Oregon, based on the user occasions within each category. So the top things within the state are walking on local streets and sidewalks. That is a pretty common thing throughout the country, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is something that's very accessible to all. The second is walking on local trails and paths. Sightseeing it follows right behind that, and then relaxing. We then are able to use the same type of methods to evaluate within your district the most popular activities, and this is based off of what we can find about their spending habits as well. So the most popular activities, and this goes for adults, is golf. For sports, it's golf, basketball, and tennis. The top three for fitness are walking for exercise, weightlifting, and jogging or running. And the top three for outdoor activities are hiking, swimming, and overnight camping. So all this information about those trends are really helpful to understand a little bit more about information we can find that is a larger national trend that we should be aware of, as well as what is happening within your district. We'll get a better, more closer understanding of this also from talking to your community and conducting surveys and more to really ground truth this information, not just the most popular activities, but to the variety of interests within your community. So with that, let's talk about some of those next steps to gather more information. Next up is a needs assessment and system-wide analysis. That includes community engagement that will, as I mentioned before, include a survey and other outreach to the community to understand their needs. This last week, we conducted a series of focus group meetings as well as part of public engagement that helped us develop a baseline understanding from different perspectives, and that's helping us write those survey questions right now. Another component of this is really assessing your sites. So a conditional and quality assessment of your properties and your indoor facilities. We'll also be looking at your recreation programs and services. And as I mentioned, our other team member will be looking at management and operations to understand how you're functioning today and how these places are cared for. And we'll compare a lot of these findings of data to other benchmark communities, those that are comparable to yours, to help us in understanding how to guide this plan forward. So as aspect of this, the DAC's role in the system plan process, you'll be providing input to help guide recommendations and priorities, reviewing documents and deliverables at key milestones, and we look forward to you spreading word to help the community get involved. So you'll attend workshops, pop-up events, as well as be a part of that survey effort. Okay. And that was our presentation. Thank you for letting us share with you tonight.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open the floor to questions for the DAC members and staff. I'll call on Anita.
Yeah, I just didn't come across bike riding, cycling on here, and I'm surprised that it's such a central thing to our area as far as I know.
Yeah, and we're just here representing the top 3 activities. There's a lot more data, and that will show that bike riding showing up. So I just wanted to share that that's at least within those top most popular activities, what showed up under those 3 different categories.
So I guess I thought bike riding was a bigger deal than it is. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. I'll call on Allie.
Yeah, I just noticed, I really like the data specifically surrounding the number of parks and then the total acres that are used as developed parks as well as undeveloped parks. I was just curious, and I'm sure it's coming, but if there's going to be some sort of assessment of how many acres there are in each zone.
So I can take a first stab at that, and then maybe Anna, you can chime in as well. Anna referenced the level of service analysis that we're going to be doing as kind of a next step. So that's going to be looking at where we have developed park facilities and community facilities and what that sort of watershed is around them to help us identify gaps. We can then cross-reference that against different zones and against all of the demographic data that Anna just previewed to take a look at how those gaps overlap with some of the other indicators that we're looking at. And I think that's what we're going to be delving into in the May presentation, at least at a high level.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anna, anything else you wanted to add?
You did that perfectly. I don't know what else to say. You did that perfectly. That is next steps. We look forward to looking at that on a evaluating those provision of parks on a wide variety of ways. You'll see a lot of conclusions then about how they're providing service, either accessibility, park types, how developed the parks are. So we look forward to sharing that as a next step as we run through this analysis now that the inventory is complete.
I'll call on Grover next.
Great, thank you. I also am greatly appreciative of the data. It's wonderful. It will take, I don't want to have it all in this meeting, but I have a lot of questions about not questioning the data, but how to use it and where we're going to use it and what it means and what the underlying. I also want to agree with whoever said the thing about, I appreciate the recreation trends, but they were all about sports. And then you went to the next one on key trends. And the big thing is walking, but it isn't just for exercise. I mean, it is for peace of mind and well-being and to get from point A to point B, etc. So there's a lot of walking, and I just didn't want to get thrown off by the recreation, meaning like sports, because I would assert that we have a whole lot of people who don't do sports, but do, and then we do have the people who use sports. So I don't want to have either group be neglected. So thanks for that. And when do we get to talk to you all next?
So design workshop will be here at the May DAC meeting. They'll be
Cool.
live in person, not in a little Zoom box. So that'll be very exciting. And then Grover, I believe you signed up to participate in the site assessment. So we're also going to be reaching out to you to schedule some community navigator training. So you will have lots of time with our consultant team when they're here in May.
Yay, because I really am, when you said the planning the next steps, community engagement, and I want to really explore the full depth of what that can mean and how we can maximize for all purposes. So thanks.
I'll call on myself and give a caveat that this may be a little in the weeds, but I was looking at the mapping around the demographics, especially the areas like around age distribution and household population and households. So we have a big sort of commercial center in our district and also a lot of ODOT right of way. So I just wanted to ask, is that sort of corrected in terms of how the density looks on the map? Or is that inflating, maybe looking at less population density than there really is?
Good question. You're talking about this population density map in particular? Is the one?
Yeah,
I think
yes.
Yeah. Let me go to a little bit larger version of that. Just 1 second. I popped it in because I thought this might come up. You know, this population density map is a little tricky because it isn't like it's the actual household locations. It's intended to depict one dot is 20 people. And it takes a census block, which you saw in those other slides, some of those boundaries for census blocks can be a little bit smaller. And it just distributes those dots equally across the district. There's no rhyme or reason to their exact location. It just tries to take that census block and average those 20 people per dot throughout that area. So it is intended to be more of a depiction. And so it won't take it will just take the average of the total acres of that census block and distribute it. Does that help, or did I make that too technical?
I think what you're saying is that the census blocks include all types of land use. And so you might have a lot of apartments on one side of the census block and the highway on the other. And so it's going to spread that out over the full area.
You
like
did
I said,
a much
it's a
better
little
job of
weeds.
explaining that than I do. Yeah, no, you did a much better job of summarizing that than I did. Thank you. You got it exactly.
Okay, phew. And then I had a question about the existing resources. My understanding was that Eagle Landing is a private facility. And I wanted to ask a little bit about for the non-NCPRD park areas, what was included and what wasn't. And if that's a question we don't know the answer to, that's okay.
Yeah, I think how we've been
Hey, Karen.
categorizing those in terms of our data set right now is we have been parsing out the assets that NCPRD owns. Also delineating those that we manage in a separate category, and then also taking a look at other parks or open space facilities that are within the district area, but that NCPRD is not involved in, because they do contribute to the overall quality of life and the experience of the district, and residents are using them. So we want to factor that in, but obviously we're not looking at them in the same level of detail. And I would let Design Workshop respond to how that factors into the level of service analysis and how we address it at that level.
Yeah, what we've done in districts like yours before, where there is that mix of other ownership, is we will provide data about your total acreage and level of service, park access, how many people live within walking distance to your parks. We'll provide that level for them, and then we'll do a conglomerate of saying, and what is the service like with all these other providers as well, and give you some data points about that. And that way you can work towards your own goals of how the district will help provide meetings, the needs, and filling gaps and setting some goals overall. But you'll understand how others are contributing to that. That will become more evident as we move through this analysis and provide more of those assessments about walking distance and park acres per population. You'll see some of that breakdown between the district's offerings and all these other providers. If they were as part of that.
Thank you. Yes,
Mhm.
Missouri?
It's more of a comment. I think with Director Savas pointing out our financial problems of the district and seeing that we have an above the Clackamas County's 8%. We have our work cut out for us to seek additional funding. How can we fairly ask our ratepayers for more money when we are above average, a less affluent district? Just throwing that out there. I'm still in favor of an increase for what we want forward, but we still have our work cut out for us for the facts that Director Savas pointed out. Just general comment. Yep.
Oh, thank you. I'm not seeing any additional questions this time. Thank you for going through that. And we'll look forward to seeing y'all again in May.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes, please.
The serious comments just triggered a thought and maybe a question for our consultants, and that is that you broke it down into owner occupied homes and also into rentals that on a percentage basis. And I do know that when it comes to paying a tax, for example, that tax is built in for a renter, that tax is built into their rent. They don't get a tax property tax statement. So I won't say they're not necessarily insulated, but they are certainly distant from realizing that impact. So population, you gave us that breakdown. It'd be nice to know what the demographics are for the income levels and so forth for those that are owner occupied and those that are renter. Just know what the demographics are, because I've learned, especially for doing a Meals on Wheels program, that surprisingly, there's a lot of people that are in homes, owner occupied, that are barely hanging on. And I know their income as senior citizens on a limited retirement income. So I do know that it'd be probably a surprise for a lot of folks that just because someone owns a home doesn't mean that they're well off. And those are the people that might struggle to pay the bill, and the age of those folks as well.
Yep.
And there's a certain voter propensity for the age groups, right? Younger people tend to vote less, older people tend to vote a lot. And sometimes it's their wallet that makes that incentivizes them to vote. So that might help us understand their
Yep.
challenges to
Moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, we can take note of that in that evaluation. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that one up. Another thing we can look at is the home values as well. There's often some data about that. So see what we can come up with to help answer some of those questions.
I have a question to ask for our team design workshop, right? What kind of, do you want us to think about feedback to bring in May? Or do you want feedback right away on this slide and presentation? If somebody thinks of something after this meeting.
I can jump in real quick. If you all have ideas, comments, thoughts, questions, please feel free to send them my way, and I can work with Design Workshop to respond and follow up with some answers.
Okay, and
I would add just, it might be helpful for DAC members to know that you need those responses or those questions in advance of the next meeting so that we can provide those responses and include them in the packet.
Yes, absolutely. And also, just to note, the content that we're going to be presenting at the next DAC meeting will be a next iteration and sort of next phase of this. So we'll be digging into some of that level of service analysis. So if you do have comments or questions specifically on this content, it would be great to surface that between now and the next DAC meeting so that we can stay focused on that level of service analysis in the next presentation.
that's really helpful. Thank you, especially because I am deadline motivated.
We are moving rapidly through this process.
It shows. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And Erin, do you want those questions and responses by the end of this week? Do you want a very specific timeline? I'm just thinking about the DAC packet preparation timeline. It really backs up quickly.
Yeah, that's a great point. End of this week would be fantastic. Okay, if possible. Yeah.
And of course, we will take questions anytime, but We will be able to include those responses in the packet if we receive those questions by the end of this week.
And I'll say for the benefit of folks who might be watching later on our recording or something, or at home, that our email address is dac@ncprd.com. So that's another way to get in touch with us too. So it looks like we're a little ahead of time on this topic. It sounds like we're okay to wrap up. Great, thank you so much for being here. Don't know which way to turn to look at you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thanks so
thank you, Erin.
much.
I think y'all are in Colorado, so I hope it's as sunny right now, but it might be a little darker than it is here. Grover, oh, thank you, I'm so sorry. Grover?
No, it's quite all right. I just had a point of order. I heard you say before we don't have a quorum, but I think we do. So do we? Did something happen while I wasn't looking?
My understanding was that quorum was 7 of 11.
No, it's 6 of 11.
It's 6 of 11?
Yep.
Point taken, I was incorrect. So we should then go back to, and I'm sorry for doing this out of order. The approval of the action item 2 on the agenda, approval of the DAC meeting summary from March 13th of 2024. Are there any corrections or revisions? I'm seeing a thumbs up from Grover. I don't have any changes. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'm motioning that we approve.
Second, we'll make it official. Okay, thank you. The meetings are approved as presented. Thank you. So that takes us back to item 3 on the agenda for our DAC recruitment. This was initially going to be presented by Mark, who can't be here tonight.
He asked me to step in, so
That is very appreciated.
So I'll kind of give an update where we are. Great news is the DAC recruitment is live. So we work with PGA locally and they have the capacity to take applications as we speak. We are doing some of our own promotion through our website and Facebook. So that is out in the community. And we would ask that anybody in this room or anyone that might be interested, please submit an application. Excuse me. So our next steps are, we are working on a promotional material also, but one of the key things that we like to include in that is the question around the meetings. Was it 1 or 2 meetings? Jeanette and I talked. I think we're going to default to 2 meetings. So we'd like to ask this committee if they can either pick weeks or specific days so we can include those into the material. So when people apply, they know or have an idea of what to expect and when to expect it and where to expect it at. So once we get some direction from you, we have plenty of staff. We're very flexible. We just want to make it easy and transparent so we can get that material out. Once we have that, we will follow the guidelines that have been laid out in regards to nominations in sub areas, and then ultimately we will get that recommendation before the board of directors, hopefully in June sometime. So July 1, everything is up and running with a fresh DAC advisory. Any questions, concerns, comments?
I do have a comment. In looking at new folks coming onto our DAC in July, Grover had mentioned to me that there used to be a presentation about public records or public meeting rules and things of that nature. So if that's, that's something I tentatively have requested, and my ask would be, and it may be for Director Savas or staff, just to help with the logistics on getting that set up. I think that would be valuable, even as a refresher for those of us who have been here for a little bit.
And I can add that Key and I have had conversations. We want to do a refresh onboarding once the new group comes on. I think it's great for the new members and then a refresh from everyone. So Kia will be working with us, picking out the dates and times that works for the majority of the DAC members, so.
Absolutely, in July.
In July. Okay. Wonderful, thank you. I don't see any additional hands. Oh, do you have your hand up, Grover? Thank you.
I do, thanks. So I appreciate where we are in the process, and as in many previous conversations, I really want to be an advocate for, we're all in this together, and the truth is, I'm an advocate for what does it take to get a vote yes to form an independent district. And to do that, we've got those populations. I was happy to see that data. I appreciated Commissioner Savas' comment, particularly about, I had the similar thought about the homeowners. And then the homeowners with high value, well, there'll be more for them, but they can afford it more. But then the people on the edges, it's important to know that. But what I want to know is, how can the staff outreach, the community outreach, and the system plan outreach be coordinated in a way to maximize our ability to reach out and touch people, to actually create a sense of awareness for them, one, but also a sense of inclusion, a sense for being listened to, and listened to means it goes somewhere, that we're going to generate advocacy for where we're headed, follow up, create some trust, because there are pockets where trust is thin, and to lead us to that, we want to have a yes vote. So we need to look at who's going to do the voting, and this opportunity with the system plan and this opportunity to do the outreach for representatives is critical to form little pockets of people to talk together. I mean, Jeanette, if you didn't know Lindsay, or if you didn't work with a few of the other people over there, I don't know that you would ever be sitting here. It takes building a local connection. Anita volunteered for some stuff, and she has other people. Missouri and I, it takes that kind of connection, and we have the opportunity with the outreach for all of this to really capitalize on that. And I'm not yet hearing, or have not seen, the opportunity to speak to, weigh in. And then I remember for the previous 3 cycles, we did a lot of great stuff with Melina, coordinating material that goes out, that we could then take that material and send it out through other networks. But we need to have it all coordinated with the dates and times. And I thought we did a pretty good job of identifying the dates that will fit current reality. I just think we need to double check it against current reality. And I don't have those notes with me where I am now. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
I have a direct response, and then I'll defer to staff, of course. In terms of building trust, we continue to show up as DAC members, as advocates, and I'm gonna love this for the rest of my days, as boosters who love parks. And we continue to be productive and work together. And like you said, we're better together. In my view, NCPRD staff will continue to do the good work that they do, and let that be known that that's being done. And then the system plan outreach is going to be rolled out as well. I think you're right. I think I've been the holdup on the calendar, and I apologize for that. But also, I think that there's a lot of avenues right now to get the word out. I'm not going to promise you, Grover, to go hand out flyers at the drop-off line at the school, but if someone wants to do that, that's an idea. I'm sure as creative DAC members, we can think of things.
Give me a stack, yeah.
There we go. It's a captive audience. I'll also say that somebody I wanted to ask to start being involved had to move out of this area because of cost issues. So, we know there's some challenges as well. And I also want us to show each other grace that it's hard for everybody to show up at a meeting, particularly because we don't provide a meal, we don't provide childcare, oh, I'll stop there. Deferring to y'all.
Well, I would just speak in support, if I may. I love the idea to rekindle past relationships and build new connections in the community through the system plan. We are doing that. I really want to give kudos to Erin and Summer for doing that. And I know that all NCPRD staff do that every day with their work. But we have this great opportunity with the system plan to make a concerted effort to reach out in the community and again, rekindle old connections and build new ones. So we're doing that. And I think that will give us a great opportunity to get more of our information out and hopefully get more engagement. So let us know if you see us doing anything that isn't capitalizing on the system plan opportunity. We're definitely open to feedback.
And I would add to Grover, Melina does have the material. She's just waiting for the dates to finalize and get it printed, and then we can get that distributed to anyone who needs it. So it's right there at the finish line.
Thank you. Colin
Okay.
Onathan?
Yeah, I just, as far as the recruitment for the DAC and then all the outreach for the systems plan. In my imagination, I want us, some of us anyway, especially me and Grover, because we've been through it a couple of times, the recruitment thing. To have some conversations about how to mesh the two things. So that we aren't trying to do two things completely independent of each other. And it's such a great opportunity to work together. And I don't know if that kind of thing would happen on May 7th and 8th and the assessment, but that's a site assessment. So I'm not sure how that will get born. But, and I've talked to Erin, it was marvelous to have this long conversation with her, but I just want to put out that I'm open to doing lots of conversations between DAC members and NCPRD staff. That's
Get in touch.
it.
I just have an idea. We have the Concord project property. We have some parks that are being done, groundbreaking work that's being done in Milwaukee. Those that are on roads that are often traveled, it might be a good idea to get maybe a decent sized sign saying new park, under construction park, so on and so forth, to create energy and positive messaging that we're doing something and CPRD is doing something. There are so many cars going down Concord Avenue, for example. That's how the word gets spread, and that's a good word. I think we need to celebrate the good things, and that's one way of getting the word out.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay. So,
I have my hand up.
thank you, Grover.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with what I heard Anna just say, and actually I want to thank Commissioner Savas for what he just said. I think it's a brilliant idea. I also do not want to miss an opportunity to really thank current staff, Alex, Aaron, Dominic, Kia, whom I'm missing, Melina. I mean, truly, it is a pleasure to be party to all the work you're doing. All I'm asking for, in addition, is so we can be more aware of it and coordinate better. But I certainly appreciate all they're doing and want them to know that. Thanks.
Thank you, Grover. I think that takes us to discussion item C, which is the budget committee update. Is okay.
So I can do that. So we had approval from the board of directors to bring on 3 newly appointed members for the budget committee. That was done yesterday, I believe. I'm losing track of days. Yeah, it was done yesterday. So we have a full budget committee that ready to go for this year. One of the things we also wanted to communicate here at the DAC, we are going to really focus on engaging the community and anyone who wants to understand more about that. So the next steps after they were appointed yesterday is we are looking to put kind of informational onboarding time with our new committee members and the community members. So I talked to both the chair and the co-chair that we're going to ask hopefully the DAC to maybe appoint somebody to do a presentation at our onboarding with the new budget committee members to bring a different point of view. You guys are the most active volunteer group for us, and to kind of let them see it through a different lens. So I talked to Jeanette, and if there's someone that wants to talk to her about maybe stepping up, but we would coordinate that as part of our onboarding presentation. So our plan is to put that together in the next few weeks. We do have a timeline because the budget has to be presented and approved, in a at the end of May, I believe. So after we do an onboarding, what our next step is, that we are required to do is submit a proposed budget to the county. And at that point, we will be able to talk about the proposed budget. But until that time, we're just going to be doing some education. We will submit and send the proposed budget to the budget committee. It will be available for public viewing also. And during that time, in between when we submit it to the county and then before the board of directors, typically we do meetings, one-on-ones or a group of two with the budget committee to look at the overall budget and answer any questions that they might have. If we have more than two, then it becomes a public meeting and then we have to, put that out and open it up for everyone. And it does become a little difficult because we have a little window in that timeline before it actually gets, and then you throw a holiday weekend in there. So we just wanted to make you aware of that. We're going to ask the DAC, I guess, nominate, or if someone wants to volunteer, work with the chair or co-chair to be involved. But we think this should be a really transparent process, and I think it's a perfect time. We just talked about our forecast. We talked about projects that were going on, and we just want to educate everybody so they have a clear view of not only where we are, but where we're going. And I think that will answer a lot of questions because we get asked a lot about projects and things like that. We would love to do everything, but obviously everything costs money. So we just want people to understand where we're at and why we're making the decisions that we do. Anything that you can add?
No, I think that's great. Thank you.
So yeah, as soon as you let us know, we would like to just walk through and get them on our agenda, and then we'll let everyone know when that timeline is. So just because if you're not selected to be the DAC rep, doesn't mean you're not welcome to attend this. So we'll get that information out across the DAC on social media, on our website. So we'd love to have a whole group of people and just ask us questions.
And a direct response, I know that Mark and myself don't have a lot of capacity. So if somebody can step up and help with that, or that would be most appreciated. Especially, numbers, budget committee is probably numbers folks, so you really want to add the context around it. Grover, I finally figured out how to see the hand. Thank you, Grover, go ahead.
Okay, great, thanks. So I have what I want to say, but I wanted to clarify what I think I heard Dominic say. You said everyone's welcome to what event?
So we're gonna have an onboarding informational event with the new elected budget committee or the entire budget committee to kind of take them through the process so they can understand what's going to happen once they actually get a copy of the proposed budget. And that's where we'd like to also have a DAC representative to speak about the district through the DAC lens.
And so the discussion will be specifically about the proposed budget. The discussion will be about priorities and goals and what's important to the community. So those are the types of things that I think the DAC representative can talk about. Also challenges. It would be really helpful if we were all saying the same thing and really highlighting the key message that we have a very constrained funding source with our tax base. And so our resources are limited, and helping the budget committee really understand how they need to navigate that budget to make good decisions. So it's not getting into the numbers, it's staying at a level that's one step higher, if you will. And we can talk more about that with whoever is selected as the DAC representative. But we thought, as Dominic was saying, it would be really nice to hear a different perspective than just the staff perspective at the orientation session. And we want to make sure that we don't miss something that is important, because this is really an important opportunity, again, to make sure that the budget committee members know it's important to all of you so that they can make good decisions.
So I asked my pre-question, but I didn't actually ask the question I wanted to ask. So if wherever I fit in the flow, let me know.
I think you're next, Grover. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So another added comment though, is I really appreciate it. And now I'm glad I asked that question of Dominic, is that, so you're gonna do onboarding for not only the new DAC members when they come on, you're also gonna do onboarding for the NCPRD budget committee folks. And then that's what's good. That's a brilliant idea. I love it. And I think it's really good to cross-pollinate wherever we can and have people get to know each other in as many ways as possible. So that's excellent. I'm jumping ahead to the staff report, but it's on the topic we're talking on right now because it says that the budget was already approved by the county administrator. And my question is, when will the DAC have a chance to, or those who want to, who are on the DAC, have a chance to look at it sooner as opposed to later if it's already been approved by the administrator?
So we are required to submit it, and I believe the week of May 8th, I think that's a Wednesday, but I think, so once we submit it and turn it into the county, it becomes public at that point. So once we do that, Callie will, we'll work with Melina, we'll get it up on our website. We have to have some printed copies made, so we'll keep you up to date. I don't have an exact date because I think it's a little bit of a flex that week, but I know that the week of May 8th, which is kind of our target right now. So that's the closest I can give you, Grover.
Okay, good. That's good. It's a date to know. And then that's May 8th, and then the actual meeting with the budget committee and all is going to be then 3 weeks later, a little less than. Okay, good.
The meeting with the budget committee will be before that. So
The orientation.
yeah, the orientation.
Right. I meant the meeting, the actual one that work.
With the budget committee and the board.
Yeah,
That's
May
at the end of
28th to
May,
the
correct.
31st.
Yeah,
Yes,
so-
typically it's the 28th.
yeah, that's budget
Okay.
week for the county. So.
Cool, thanks.
Calling on Missouri.
Do we have an opportunity to have a joint meeting between the DAC and the budget committee? Might be a good way to cross-pollinate, then it's not just upon or beholden to one to educate them. It's like a joint effort, but that would require us to potentially butcher a future meeting of one or the other and overlap them. Just an idea.
Yeah, definitely. Can we work offline on that idea? I think that's an interesting idea. It doesn't matter to us how many people are there. I think we just want to make sure that we talk about what that agenda looks like, just so that the budget committee can ask their questions, but
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting idea. Okay, let's talk offline.
Absolutely, affirmative, yes.
And we typically include an updated budget on a quarterly basis in the DAC packet. So I don't know if that might be a good crossover meeting invitations.
Yeah. Interesting idea.
Sorry, I went away from my agenda. Oh, thank you. Yeah. All right,
Subcommittee
that's the subcommittee reports, thank you. So we have right now sort of two subcommittees. The one that I assigned to Mark and myself is a little inactive because I had a health thing. He's out for right now. I'm gonna call on either Ally or Grover to go next on the goal setting around district options.
Yeah, thank you. So actually Grover gave pretty much our update before, so I'll just be repeating a lot of what he shared. But when we met, we've met twice so far, and we really just started kind of asking ourselves the question, what will it take in order for it to be a yes vote on the ballot for an independent district? And much like he has already shared, just using this as an opportunity to really use that tandem relationship between DAC outreach and systems plan. Part of our conversation involved, what do the district members actually know of NCPRD? And that was something that I think will be really interesting that will come out of the system plan discussion and community engagement, because we are just curious as to what information is already out there, what misinformation is out there, what's the perception. For example, Milwaukee pays for their own parks, but the perception of the district may not be clear to people in the district. So things like that, and really wanting to create that trust I think that there are some pockets where trust is not very strong. And that's not necessarily among us, but more so among the citizens of the district, people who live in the district that may not be a part of our volunteer groups. Not, again, going back to that misinformation. So really giving it an opportunity to increase awareness, understanding of NCPRD, inspiring what's possible. So going back to, I think, Director Savas, your example of putting a sign out and just kind of celebrating what we're doing to increase that trust and awareness is going to be really big, especially like Monsieur, you had mentioned, you know, how can we ask people to give more money when they're already strapped so thin, when, you know, they don't know what we're going to do with it, where is it going to go? And so we really spent some time kind of laying the groundwork of coming up with some of the main tenets of, you know, educating, inspiring what's possible, trying and really, really increasing not just the hearing people, but then using the voices that speak up and then responding to it. So being really community responsive and saying, we hear you and here's us showing up for you and taking your input to heart and doing what you are asking of the district. So that was a big part. And then, you know, we had some follow-up questions. A lot of what Grover and I discussed was how important it is to make decisions that are rooted in fact and not emotion. And so that goes back to that misinformation, that goes back to the perception. And I think, you know, we had a really great start in the beginning presentation about some of that data. And I think that that data and in particular, some of the questions that came up for us was, you know, how much acreage, you know, we know the number of parks in Milwaukee versus the number of parks in the unincorporated areas. But we also know that a lot of those number parks in Milwaukee are actually, they're small neighborhood parks. So they're not actually that big. So we were thinking, you know, getting that information, that clarity of what is the acreage that is in each zone, where are the gaps of where we need to be including and paying more attention to. And so all of those kind of started the conversation. I think we have a lot more to go. And Grover and I have very much been enjoying our meetings. So, you know, we're looking forward to communicating and continuing with our subcommittee. But we're just really looking forward to some more of that detailed in the weeds data that will come out from the systems update. And I think that's going to give us a lot of information to kind of inform us as to where do we need to go in order to get a yes vote so that we have local representation. Grover, did you want to add anything? Did I miss anything? You're muted. Grover, you're muted.
Okay, good. Thanks. Yeah, you did a great job, and I'm sorry I said all those things in advance because I didn't mean to foreshadow. I'm sitting here, you know, and I wrote down some notes about the various questions, and it wasn't on that question. It was on the question up above that. But you're right, it's the same tune. So thank you for doing a great job. And yes, we are willing to be into the weeds, and we are going all over the weeds, and it's very helpful. And I'm looking forward to our next meeting.
Thank you so much. So then I'll call on myself for two small reports. Goal refinement for our goals 1, 3, 4, and 5. That's on hold for right now. I think I can speak to that in May. The other was the public, excuse me, public planning page, or it was also called the parking lot, was a list of items that folks hope to talk about at future DAC meetings, or that were things that were in process. It's kind of a big spreadsheet. So I've taken a close look at that. I'm just gonna disclose that I'm really having a brain crunch about 10 days before the meeting notice, so it could be in the packet. So what I will do is I will send out my notes on that. Most of the items I plan to delete and ask people to either resubmit them as an agenda item or to maybe clarify, you know, if you think that I asked to delete something because it's already been handled or been addressed already and you don't think it has been, that you can let me know, hey, can we refine this and relook at it? I don't want to just blow up the list, as it were. I want to make sure that we catch things that people want to talk about. Sure. So expect that by email, and then that way it can be included in the packet for next time. And that takes us to DAC member reports. I'll call Mr. first.
There has been a request from the Jennings Lodge CPO that Kia comes and speaks, or just welcoming, I guess, and tied to your experience with nonprofit, now I'm butchering the correct word, but the ability for people to donate chunks of foundation, thank you. That was a huge interest to the Jennings Lodge CPO, and some members wanted to bring that up with you.
Happy to be there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Portland Portland Parks and Rec Foundation built a bridge. They built the Wildwood Trail Bridge over West Burnside. So like, yeah, it'd be a great presentation. I hope.
Building two playground renovations and building one new park. So yeah, significant work can be done in partnership.
Awesome.
Happy to have that conversation.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll call an Ally next.
Yeah, so actually that's great, Missouri, because I know that Park would really love to have Kia come too. I think there was an outreach and asked for NCPRD staff to come to our meeting. So I'd like to re-invite. I think Kia would be great for you to be there so you can meet that group and kind of introduce yourself, since we are part of NCPRD. And also I know that one of the things that Grover and I talked about in our meeting, and also something that's come up in part, is and I know I've already asked in email, but the answer wasn't very clear, but we really would like to know when the deadlines for those grants for the Metro bonds and the grants for Milwaukee Bay Park are. A year, a month, a season of the year would be great. I know that the response that was given to staff at Milwaukee and myself was that there's a communication with the grants in July, which is great, but that's not really giving a lot of detail. So I think we would all really appreciate some answers to that question. So even a year, summer, fall, anything would be really great. Thank you.
Pretty quiet until there are 4.
Cool.
Thank you, though.
Calling an Anita.
Well, Aaron and Summer to our CPO, and that was fabulous. But I do have a question about Concord, and maybe you know it, somebody here knows it. There was stop work for 2 separate permits, and I don't know the status of those 2 stop work situations.
I'm gonna give you an update tonight.
Okay.
So, yeah, Anita's my plant. So happy to provide that.
I didn't receive an update from Joel. He wished he could be here, but he had a commitment. Is there any news that you know of from the community center?
I was lucky enough, I got to attend the foundation meeting there. I know they're having a Milwaukee Community Center Advisory Board meeting this Friday, so I think maybe next meeting, Joel will bring an update on that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Okay. And I don't have a strong update from sub area 3 either. We're just chugging along out there. Driving everywhere. I did attend, I'm gonna contradict myself, sorry. I did attend the Mount Scott Sunnyside CPO meeting. Grover was also there. So they've been talking a lot with the community about engagement and trying to sort of get more folks tuned into their CPO. There was a lot of positive discussion around the system plan work for NCPRD. And the other part of that is that the CPO is interested in having an event during the warm weather season, like a picnic or something in a park, so that people can meet in person. So that's still in the, planning phase, but I will let you know more once I know more too. I think that then will take us to Kia.
Okay, all right, thank you, Jeanette. So to answer your question, Anita, so as all of you heard at the last meeting, a stop work order was issued by our construction team because we did not have the permits that we needed to proceed with construction at the Concord property. And but happily, on Monday, construction started work again. We received the permits that we need to proceed with the project. Construction is now back and underway, which is perfect timing with this dry, sunny weather. So we are in really good shape and we're coming along. We don't expect any major schedule problems because of that stop work order. It was very short. But you know, it was the right thing to do, given that we didn't have the proper permits to proceed with our work. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Great. I did want to just mention, we have received some inquiries about the dock at Milwaukee Bay Park, and I just want to report that the dock at the park will be reinstalled in May. It's removed each year because during the winter, the high water and the debris that stacks up against the dock can cause damage to the dock. So we actually proactively remove it each winter and reinstall it in May. And yes, it's a lot of work, but we do that to protect the dock. If you want any additional information, I could ask Kevin to come up and provide some if there's any more interest in that project. All right. I'll move on. So I think all of you saw the inquiry about the trolley trail and some of the concerns about the speeds of scooters and e-bikes, as well as some user etiquette issues. And I just want to first say, I hear you. This is a concern. In many communities, e-bikes are creating a new challenge because the speeds can be so fast. And as you might remember, last fall, Alex presented the trolley trail safety audit to all of you. And one of the strategies was to actually start a safety campaign or an educational campaign about user etiquette, safe speeds, that sort of thing. So again, we heard you and we want to be responsive. And so we are, we, meaning NCPRD staff, are investigating the availability of grants or other outside funding. We don't currently have funds allocated to this type of work. But our intent would be to finance a pilot education campaign for the trolley trail to promote, again, safe speeds and trail user etiquette. And we would make those improvements consistent with that safety audit. So stay tuned. We hope to come back to you in May or June at the latest to report back on some of our findings about some additional resources that we might have. And again, we want to start small. It will be a small phased approach, but baby steps, I think, are really the way that we're going to get to where we need to be. And some of the signs that were shared in that email, those are not big steps to take. And so those are the types of things we're thinking about. Are there any questions about that? And I want to make sure, did everybody see my response to that? Okay, great.
Yes, I also wanted to make a comment. I went to the Clackamas Traffic Safety Commission last week. And this was around the time that we received the correspondence. I was really excited that the staff who were there to help support the Traffic Safety Commission were already aware of this discussion, and that the bike walk plan folks who are staff at Clackamas County were already aware. So that cross-pollination, I'm going to look at Grover when I say that, you know, that collaboration that seems to be started, and that was really exciting. And thank you for just having a solution-oriented mindset, everyone. Like, I'm really impressed. Thank you.
Oh, good. Well, I also want to thank Alex Gilbertson and Kevin Kaysen, because they are the resident experts here at NCPRD. And so I tapped into them, so I have to give them credit for their expertise and their initiative. So thank you. Lastly, I want to make sure that I cover the Wichita property update. I do have a prepared joint statement from the NCPRD Board of Directors and the North Clackamas School District. So I'm going to read it, and if you have any questions, just let me know. We'll also make sure that this joint statement is posted on our website. Right now, we do have the FAQ posted on our website, but not the joint statement. So I'll make sure that happens within the next few days too. So here goes. Administrative staff from the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, NCPRD, and the North Clackamas School District, NCSD, have begun productive conversations about the future ownership of the Wichita Center building located at 6031 Southeast King Road. Both organizations value the services Wichita provides to our community and share a goal for a fair transaction to be able to continue these services. So that's again, and the joint statement also goes into a little more technical detail about the value of the property and the procedures that follow because of the value of the property. I won't get into that tonight, it's a little technical, but again, I'll make sure that the full joint statement is posted so you can see that on our website.
Thank you. The key word I like from there is productive discussions. Yeah, thank you.
I think Grover's trying to raise his hand.
Calling on Grover?
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciated it. I did have a question. You said it was from the NCPRD directors, and who was it from at Orion Cities? I mean, at North Clackamas School District?
So this represents the statement from North Clackamas School District.
Okay, that's from the board or
Their
the
board.
staff, because we were clear that's
Their
from the
board.
just. Pardon me?
Their board. So the board
you.
has sanctioned this statement, but administrative staff are working with administrative staff at NCPRD.
I appreciate that. I heard it in the statement that the staffs were involved, but I didn't know so the school board is on board with that comment, or that statement. That was my question. Thanks.
I believe that concludes the monthly report from NCPRD. Thank you so much. That takes us to public comment. So if you'd like to give public comment, we provide 3 minutes for that. Are there any cards for in-person public comment?
I'm outside, but I can grab them.
Oh, okay. So even if you haven't filled out a card, if you want to make a comment, feel free. Okay, I'll ask if there's any folks on Zoom who would like to make comment.
And I think we're good. Melina is.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and close that. And that takes us to future dates. So I can run through that. The May agenda submission. I'm gonna pause, I'm sorry. Before I move into agenda item 8 and future dates, I did want to ask the DAC, right now, if you want to add an item to the agenda, there's an agenda form, or folks have been emailing Melina. However, do you want to be able to add agenda items at a meeting for the next meeting to come? I think we've done it twice tonight, so I think it might be a trend.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like
me
it,
too.
okay.
I like it, yes.
I'm gonna say, looking back to Grover, hand up.
But my hands up because I wanted to comment on that exact topic. So that's perfect. Yeah, because one of the recommendations that we are going to at that next the meeting on May 8th, my request is that we have the advanced report in time to be able to review it adequately, that they're going to be speaking on. And that may be happening anyway, but I just really, it's important to me to be able to read things, and I think it's important to others as well. So that was my only comment. So it is actually a request that for that agenda, we get that in advance.
Noted. Thank you, Grover. Okay, and I'm gonna say by acclaim that if folks don't want to fill out a form, that's okay. We can bring it up in the meeting for the next meeting to come. That would be great. So going to then, to future dates. We're asking for submission for the May agenda submission no later than Wednesday, April 17th by 5 p.m. And that's if you send that electronically. Finalization of the agenda will be done by Mark and I and staff and Director Savas, April 22nd. And our next meeting will be on Wednesday, May the 8th. We have here planned agenda topics, to be determined, but we also know that we have 2 items that were discussed tonight that will be included. And I think that finishes us up for this evening, unless we have anything else for the good of the order. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll close out the meeting.
Thank you all. I
Thank
appreciate
you for
where
being
we're
here,
going.
Grover.
Thank you.
Listen.